So, hi, and welcome to Three Questions with Mary at Anderson's Bookshop. We are thrilled tonight we're kicking off our author season. We've had a few in so far, and tonight we are so happy to have Sherry Rinker with her new book, Tiny and the Big Dig. But you might know Sherry from other books such as Goodnight, Goodnight Construction Site, all fan favorites. And so we're here with the new book tonight, and as long as you're here for an event, I was wondering if I can ask you three questions.
No.
Okay, I guess we're done.
Go ahead.
All right.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. These are tough ones.
Okay, go ahead.
So aside from your books, which I would have assumed were fan favorites in your household, was there a favorite childhood book for your sons when they were little?
So, my books, because their mother had written them, would not have been the fan favorites. You know, you can get that maybe. You know,
Yes.
Mom wrote them, so they must be horrible. My kids both loved this weird little book called A Fish Out of Water. And it's about a little boy who's warned by the pet store owner when he gets his fish never to feed his fish too much. But of course, you know, it's like, you know, don't look at the elephant, then you can't stop looking at the elephant. And so he feeds his fish too much, and of course the fish gets bigger and bigger, and the boy has to move the fish from the fish bowl, and eventually has to move it to a bathtub, and eventually it has to, and there's water everywhere, and then eventually a swimming pool, and in the end, the owner of the pet store comes back and with the antidote and says, "I told you not to feed your fish too much." It's the weirdest little book, but I show a picture of it when I give school presentations, and the kids all know it and love it. And it's from like maybe 1950. I mean, it's
Wow.
a really old book, or maybe 1960, but yeah, that would be their favorite book. Weird, kind of makes no sense at all, but the kids love it.
I love it. I love it. You just never know.
You don't.
You never
True.
know. And you know, your previous books are all construction sites and construction vehicles
And trains.
and trains.
Yes.
How different was it, and was it difficult to write a book from a dog's point of view rather than that of a vehicle?
Well, you know, I have vehicles and I have dogs, or I have a dog and I've had dogs in my life, so I guess I, you know, somewhat relate to both. So, you know, definitely a little switch in the mindset, but yeah, it was kind of fun to sort of, we all think we know what our pet thinks, right? So it was kind of fun to like give the character a personality that I'm sure all dogs have somewhere inside them. I remember when I was a kid, I used to hold my dog's face and say, "I know you can talk. Just talk. You can tell me that you can talk. I know nobody else is supposed to know, but I know you can." So yeah.
That's great. So it wasn't too big a transition.
Not
then.
too big, no, and a lot of fun. And Matt Myers, the illustrator, I think did just such a great job bringing his little sweet self to life.
We've
I
had
love
a
Tiny.
ton of compliments
Isn't
on
he
the
fun?
illustrations
Yeah,
of this
he's
book.
really fun.
That's
And
awesome.
a little piece of, you know, interesting information. The emoji, the little dog face emoji on my Apple phone looks a lot like the face of that dog, which just comes in handy when I want to tell people about the book. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go.
Got it right there.
Little side note.
Awesome. Well, the transition wasn't difficult, but you know, any good author has to research their subject matter. So we imagine that you probably scouted out a lot of construction sites for your previous books,
Yeah.
train yards.
Mm-hmm.
So did you spend a day or so following your dog around to see exactly from his point of view what his day looks like?
You know, I had been reading a lot of articles about method acting, and I saw a lot of interviews about, you know, very well-known, well-respected actors and how they approached getting into character. And so I went to the Salvation Army and I bought this old fur coat. I think I spent like $8 on this old fur coat, and I put this thing on, and for 2 entire weeks I was a dog. I crawled around on the floor. I ate my food out of a dog dish. I communicated only by barking and whining. When I had to go out, I barked at the door, and my husband or my kids needed to let me out. There's still, the homeowners association is still, it's been kind of a,
Your
kind of a
picture's
teeny.
up on a few.
It has,
phone
wasn't
poles.
well received by the neighbors, but I felt like in order to truly get into this character, that I needed to really live it for a couple of weeks. So, I couldn't talk to my family, but I could, bark and lick their legs and rub up against them. And yeah, so I really tried to really get into the character and really become Tiny for a couple of weeks. And I think you can see he's very deep and dramatic, and I think I achieved my goal of really kind of understanding him.
That absolutely comes through. In
Yeah,
the pages
I
of
think
this
it, and
book.
I would encourage every author to really do that. If you're, I don't know, a kangaroo or whatever your character is, I think really it's important to kind of really try to get into that character's head in whatever way.
That is awesome.
Yeah, that's a little
I'm
piece of
gonna-
advice I'd offer.
I'm gonna pass that on
Yeah.
to all the authors who come through these doors.
Yeah, that's a freebie. Take that with you.
That is fantastic. Sherry, I can't thank you enough for sitting with us for our 3 questions. You can come into any Andersons and get signed copies of Sherry's books. They'll be here for I'm sure a couple of days before we sell out. But then she'll come back and sign some more. So it's been great having you, and thanks
thank
again.
you for having me. Thank you to Andersons. You guys have always been so supportive. So thanks, Marian. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.